My name is Sherry. I'm a first year business student and I really want to know more about placements.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm currently doing a placement with the university.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I did my placement as Employability Project Assistant at the University of Sheffield Career Service.
Hi, my name's Eoin and I did my placement at IBM as a Project Management Office Analyst.
Okay, can you guys tell me more about what you did? Like, what your role had?
Sure.
Yeah, so my role mainly involves supporting WP students. So I was responsible for coming up with kind of events to support them with their employability. It involved a lot of marketing and a lot of networking and then mainly a lot of project management.
Okay, I have a question. What's a WP student?
So WP refers to wider participation.
Okay.
So I'm currently doing what Chloe did, but the role has expanded a little bit. So as well as the current widening participation project, I'm also part of a bigger initiative across the university for a specific cohort of students that get a scholarship. So this is a little bit different because I get to work with lots of different departments within the university, and it's quite a challenging project to be part of. So yeah.
And you, Owen?
Yeah, so I predominantly worked with the NHS as a client. So I worked in the consulting space and was kind of working on making sure that we had the right people for each of their projects, as well as doing some kind of work in the meta area, metaverse and virtual reality in like the educational space as well. So a bit of everything around technology and healthcare.
Okay, that's nice.
That's pretty cool.
Where did you, like, how did you guys decide where exactly did you want to do, like, where in the country did you want to do your placement?
I don't mind.
Yeah, so if I'm honest, for me, I got to the point where I was struggling to find placements outside of Sheffield, and it kind of got to that time where you had to decide, like, if you were going to say living with flatmates or book into a new house or anything like that. So I actually booked into a new house in Sheffield and then started looking for placements from there that was Sheffield based.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I always initially looked at local placements. So I was kind of happy to go wherever, depending on the job. But when I was seriously applying, I think I was only really looking in the north because I didn't want to be too far away from home. So yeah, I wanted to either be able to live at home or live in Sheffield, or maybe relocate to a new city, but one that I was maybe a little bit familiar with.
Alright.
So I predominantly looked at like London. So I was open to Sheffield and Manchester because there is of course that appeal to being near your friends at university. But I know that when I get a grad job, I wanted to be back down to London. So for me, I wanted to get that experience of a little kind of taste as what it might be like to live in London and work in London. So that's like how I chose London as my primary location to look for.
Okay, and how did you adjust to like working life since you moved away from Sheffield?
So it was quite a challenge at first because, like I say, all of your like university friends are up in Sheffield and you do kind of feel a little bit detached at first. But then the second you realise, actually, no, it's a 2-hour train ride. It's not that far, and you make like loads of friends on placement. It wasn't too bad. Also, London's a great place because you walk outside your office and there's like tons to do. So you're not kind of at a weakness or anything when it comes to the social life and the social balance of work-life balance. It's really easy.
Okay. And how did you guys adjust to like working at the city where you were students in? Like, how did you adjust to that?
Yeah, I weirdly feel like you see a different side of the city. Mainly because you can like go to the places that are non-studenty, because you have a job and you've got people in your office that like go to different places and socialise in different areas. So it can be a bit weird because you can see your friends and you pass them and you're like at work. But I feel like I'm experiencing a different side of it now, so it still feels kind of new. I don't feel like I'm living my student life as a job. I feel like I'm in a work version of myself in the same city.
So you think you like experienced an entire new version of Sheffield?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and obviously you're working. Well, for me, I work through the week 9 to 5, so you can't really wake up at 10 a.m. and just like wander down to the shops or whatever. Like I feel like you get into more of a routine and you do more things on the weekend, so then you go to different places and but you still get to sort of see your friends if you want to, and go to the same sort of places that you normally hang out. But yeah, you settle into more of like a work routine.
Yeah, okay. What about you?
Yeah, I was very similar to Olivia in the fact that I also felt like it was just a completely different side to Sheffield that I'd never seen before. So, you know, meeting one of my colleagues, we'd often go out for coffee in different places, or we'd venture further down West Street, which I'd never done before as a student.
The whole other side.
The whole different side. So, you know, just exploring more coffee shops, or I'd always go out to meet employers, and there was different spaces. We'd also have socials at work, so, you know, after work socials, we'd also get to explore different places I've never done before. We'd often go out for dinner or play games or similar things. So yeah, it was really nice to see someone new.
How did you guys work out the accommodations? Because I know you mentioned that you booked a house and that's why you stayed in Sheffield. Is it like the same as student housing or is it different?
Yeah,
you go because you.
Yeah,
I did it slightly differently. So
yeah, no. So I think I was just getting to that stage where it was like I had flatmates that I currently live with, and they were kind of asking if I wanted to live with them again. So we decided to book the house first, and then kind of look for placements from then on. And I think that kind of helped me actually, and it gave me more comfort in terms of knowing, okay, I've got a house, you know, I've got somewhere to live, I'm going to be fine in that sense. And it kind of just gave me more confidence then when looking for a placement as it narrowed down what I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still apply for houses as a student because you still have your student status. So, you know, when you're looking for houses, you don't have to find a rented accommodation as a professional. You can do, but like you can still live with your friends and you're still a student. So, and as we know, like Sheffield, there's loads of housing for students. So there's not a worry that if you want to stay here, that you can like find something later on if you find a placement later on, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I moved home, so I'm from just outside London, so it's quite easy for me to get accommodation. So, but I know a lot of other students who aren't from London who came down for their placement. When they joined the company, when they joined IBM, there was a group chat made for all of the new interns, and so many of them would be like, "Oh, I'm looking like to move down and trying to find people to move in with," and so a lot of people ended up living with each other, and that's like another great way of making friends and meeting other interns on top of all the socials is living with each other.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of friendships are bonded that way.
Yeah, that's nice.
What's like the working environment like? Is it like how did you get to know people socially? You work with? Yeah, so I mean, for me, it was a mixture of in IBM they do kind of IBM wide office kind of socials. I won't say parties. I think that's a bit far, but
what was happening at the parties?
But there was alcohol and food and soft drinks, and it was like really nice. You got to meet people across like the entire range, and it's quite a flat structure. So even though my manager was very senior, in the third highest band globally of seniority, so very, very high, there was never that kind of sense of you're superior to me. There was always time for everybody. And then you have intern and grad and apprentice kind of specific parties. So we would have like boat parties, stuff like that. So that's a really great way of meeting people.
That sounds fun.
Our version of societies. So
that's cool.
There was like sports ones, book club. There was one with dogs. So if you like seeing dogs or cats, there were ones for those. So yeah, there's like tons of ways to see people. And every Thursday, you'd go out to the pub for a drink. Even for the people who didn't drink, would go just to chat and socialise. So yeah, there's kind of endless ways to meet people, and even just going to like the coffee machine and getting like a coffee or water, you meet people because I found, at least in my experience, everyone, regardless if they're an intern or if they're the head of UK and Ireland, they would speak to you. Like the head of UK and Ireland would sit down with interns in the cafeteria at lunch and ask us like how you finding.
So like everyone was one level.
Yeah, everyone, like there was no kind of sense. Obviously you knew, okay, this person's very important, but there was no kind of like I'm better than you, which was really nice.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, everyone had time for each other.
Okay. What about you guys?
I feel like when I first started, like my manager had put in a lot of meetings with loads of different people for me to meet, because I feel like one thing that works really well in this role is building lots of relationships with people. And then from that, I was then encouraged to reach out and book in time with the sort of like the wider circle of like the office and outside of my office and different departments. So I feel like there's quite a culture to get to know people and because you can sort of understand their role, and it might be that later on when you're thinking about planning things, you then can think, oh, actually I met this person, that would be a really good connection to sort of pull on. And I just feel like it's a really like chatty office and like everyone's really friendly.
So
and
nice.
it's just really like welcoming and inclusive environment.
Was it the same for you?
Yeah, so I was similar to Liv in the fact that I had meetings with everybody when I first started, so that way I kind of got to know everyone in different teams, so that was really helpful later on when I kind of had to use upon those different teams.
Mm-hmm.
Other things that we did as well is we'd often turn the kind of like monthly career service team meetings into like coffee and cake mornings where we raised money for charity, so that was a really nice way of just getting to, you know, walk around the office a bit more and talk to people that you might not interact with on a daily basis. I was also similar in the fact that, you know, I reached out to a lot of different departments, so kind of met people across the wider university, but I also did a lot of networking outside as well, so there's quite a few networking groups out within Sheffield for like employers or young professionals, so I also did that as a way to kind of meet people outside of my role that were in similar professions, or just, you know, kind of just get to know other people and what they're doing in the city.
How did you guys find that you can apply what you learned from knowledge and skills in your placement to your studies in your 4th year?
Yeah, so I definitely say things like, you know, getting up early and getting a routine, those types of things definitely help when you come back into your 4th year. They help you organise your time a little bit better in terms of studies. And then other things is, you know, with networking, it helps you to become really confident when you move back outside. So there was a lot of contacts and employers that I'd met through my placement year that I'm now still in contact with, or I've reached out for job opportunities and things like that. So I'd say that was really helpful.
What about you, Owen?
Yeah, I kind of, you know, echo everything that Chloe said, but also for me, with one of my modules, which was complex projects, having worked at IBM and our client being the NHS, which is the biggest complex project you can get in the UK, it was amazing to be able to actually apply that knowledge and apply that practical experience to a very difficult module, very challenging module. So I was able to see what I had done, kind of transfer those, you know, skills and knowledge into other issues, that other complex projects that we were like looking into. And so yeah, it was interesting to see what I'd already done, now being kind of taught in a more broad aspect.
Do you feel like your experience from your placement like influenced your decision for your final year modules? Like with you saying about that module, do you feel like you maybe felt more confident about going into that more with your placement?
I had an idea of what I wanted to do in 2nd year, but I think going placement definitely kind of cemented that, and maybe throughout 1 or 2 modules I was like, okay, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'd say it definitely helped me pick, not just like, you know, preparing me, but making me realise what I want to do and what I don't want to do career-wise, and how each module kind of aids itself to that. So I'd say it helped.
Yeah, probably subconsciously. There's like, because I've chosen a lot of kind of like HR modules, or you know, one in particular is work and health in the 21st century. So obviously, having worked in a career service and learned a lot about employability, going back and then probably choosing all the HR modules probably correlated somewhere. But I'd also say, you know, it like helped in terms of thinking about future career. You know, it really helped me figure out, like you said, like things that you did like or you don't like. So I definitely learned that I was, you know, obviously into networking, I've mentioned that already. So now I've kind of looked for roles in business development off the back of that. So I think, you know, that was just an invaluable experience to be able to figure out a little bit more about yourself.
So what you guys took from your placement definitely shaped what you're gonna do after university, right?
I'd say definitely helped inform me of what I want to do, So now that I know I enjoy consulting and project management on a practical level, not just a theoretical level, I know those are the 2 areas I want to go into, and as well as entrepreneurship. So placement's definitely kind of made me realise that's for me, and finance is definitely not, and I want nothing to do with finance. So it's definitely helped kind of like cement that,
Okay.
Yeah, and particularly in my case, I'd say as well, you know, I was really lucky to have worked in a career service and learned about employability. So then when you're going on to apply for those future applications and stuff
you
like
know
that,
what's right and wrong.
you're a lot more in the know.
You have the cheat codes.
Yeah. She knows what gets the job.
I also think like it's not bad to come out of a placement and know that's something you definitely don't want to do.
Like it's one thing that you know it's like not for you.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like it's a chance to try something with like no pressure that you need to like stick in that job for years or anything. Like I think it's fine to know, like for me for example, like I know that I really enjoy marketing. I maybe don't enjoy the events planning as much, but I thought that was maybe something that I did enjoy. So now I'm kind of realising what avenue I'd rather go down by figuring out what I don't like.
Yeah, and I think if you're lucky to be with a really good employer, they'll let you explore that as well. So I know that when I worked in the career service, I mentioned that I had an interest in marketing. So they paired me up with our marketing lead and let me kind of, shadow her a little bit, see if I was interested in anything. I also reached out to the management school as well. I did some shadowing there, and it really helps you inform what you do and don't.
Yeah, I will say as well, like on top of that with my experience, it's very much business focused, and so at IBM they also have a design team where they look at business design, user experience, and so that's something very foreign to me. Never ever considered that. So I approached them and I was like, hey, can I get access to this? And they actually paid me as an intern who does not work in the design area several amount of money to be able to access these courses. So now I've got extra qualifications in design, and I've now realised actually when it comes to entrepreneurship and consulting, I prefer the people aspect and the design aspect more to the organisational operations side. So now I'm like, okay, that's where I want to go down. I want to go down the user experience, the content design, and so I think sometimes it's actually better to know what you don't want to do than what it is that you do want to do, because you can I like this, but you also like 10 other things. So it's okay, that's definitely not for me. You're saving yourself so much time. Maybe 2-3 years of agony in a grad job where you're like, oh, if I have to do if I have to do accounting as a grad job, I would
You'd be gone.
I'd be gone. Absolutely. And my reputation would be destroyed.
Exactly.
I'd be like, I'm not turning up to work. So it's really good to know what you don't want to do.
Okay.
Well. Yeah.
And what about the adjustment from going back to uni after a year of for working?
Yeah, so I think there definitely is, well, first off, one thing I definitely recommend is take a break. I did not do that. I extended my placement so that I only had a week off. You will feel burnt out. The good thing is obviously university, it's a lot more chilled at the beginning because you're kind of getting back into the swing of things, but final year you do need to make sure you're well rested for it, because it is an intense year, which it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But definitely take a break. I actually find it really easy. I don't know if you agree, but I feel like all of the placement students kind of create a little bit of a community, because while a lot of us know, the current third years, and we're technically third years, we're really fourth years, and so we know each other a lot better. And so it's kind of like a little community we have, and
so you still have that friend bond, even though all of your friends graduated already.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of all gravitated naturally together. Of course, we interact with other people in our year group. And, that's great, but we also have that kind of support system of people who also went through placement and oh my gosh, I have to remember that I'm back at uni. I have to there's less structure now. I have to try and get myself back into
people who know what you've been through.
Exactly, and we can all kind of help each other when we're like, oh no,
exams.
How do I write an essay again? How do I do a business report? We're all kind of, it's really nice, we're all there for each other.
No, I'd say it's nice. There's definitely some relatability, with other placement students when you'll come back and you said there is that community feel there, which is really nice. If I learned anything from my own experience and advice I'd give to future placement students is, if you are struggling when you come back, definitely reach out to the services that can help you. So for example, 301 skills if you're struggling getting back into study or essay writing, or any type of academic skills for that matter. The career service as well if you're struggling in terms of employability, or specifically as management students you can access the employability hub. I would definitely just go and ask for that help if you do feel like you are struggling.
What are you most proud of that you did during your placement year?
Oh, I need to think about that.
That's a deep one.
I think what I would be most proud of is I took an offer that was quite probably small at the time, and really developed and grew it, and did that almost quite independently as well. So even though I had lots of support from my team managers, everybody that I worked with, I'd say that I took a lot on and kind of led the direction of that support offer at the time. And probably my proudest moment was I hosted a networking event where we had about 45 people attend, mix of staff, employers and students. That was just a really great event, and it was so fun, and especially because I have such a passion about networking, I think it was nice to be able to share that with other people, and everyone enjoyed it, so that was something that was really fun.
That sounds really nice. What about you guys?
I still have time on my placement, so it might change over time, but currently I had the opportunity to go to a conference in November in Birmingham, and I've never been to like a professional conference before. Didn't really know what to expect, and it was quite nerve-wracking to go, but I felt really proud that I went and did that, and I did a little bit of networking afterwards and met lots of different universities and speakers and employers. So yeah, it was quite a long day, but it was like a really sort of like worthwhile experience for me to go, and could talk about it on my LinkedIn.
So for myself, it was being the chief designer of a metaverse university, so virtual reality university, which is really cool.
That's really nice.
Because I not only got to try design, I also got to work, creating university in the metaverse or metaverse-like technology. Worked with European partners and ran, underneath there were 4 different teams of designers who had more experience than I did, so it was really strange that I was like the kind of one responsible for being like, okay, let's all make sure we're on the same path. But it was a really good experience, and now I can like look back on that and see that what I helped create from complete scratch all the way to now being something that is materialised is really exciting, and that actually has a really positive impact on helping people around the world engage in education in a more collaborative way digitally.
That's amazing.
We just went for a careers. So. We just help people with their CV.
It's fine. Any help is help. Anything is something. Would you guys recommend doing a placement to like other students, like me for example? I'm in my first year. Would you recommend doing it?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's given me so much more confidence with applying for grad jobs when I come back. It just kind of gives you that time to like really enjoy your degree and really understand why you're doing it. And it's just been an amazing experience so far. I knew that a placement is something I wanted to do coming into my degree, and I'm really glad that I was able to do that. Like even just building the resilience skills to apply for a placement, because it's not easy. And I didn't get my placement until June, so it was like it was a long time. Yeah, not for lack of trying. Like I really tried. But now I feel like when I'm applying for grad jobs, I understand that process, and
you're a bit more confident in your abilities.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know that if I get a lot of rejection, that it's like I've learned a lot from that, and it's built my confidence so that if that happens, it's not going to knock me back and put me off. It's just going to keep me on going, because I know eventually I will get something. Because I did in my placement year.
How about you guys?
Yeah, I would 100% recommend doing a placement. I feel like it's changed me so much, like you said, in terms of confidence, but also just in terms of like maturity. I feel like I almost walked out a different person, just having developed so many different, soft skills, hard skills, even things like writing emails. I think that was like, at the start, I used to want someone to check my emails, and then by the end, I was emailing all types of different people across the university. So yeah, definitely in terms of the skills that it sets you up with. I'd also say the contacts as well. So obviously for me and Liv, we spoke about meeting a lot of people around the university, students, employers, staff. I'm still in touch with a lot of those people now, and I've had so many different opportunities come from them since. So whether it's been kind of like future roles or just future learning opportunities or anything like that, and that's definitely guided what I wanted to do in future. So definitely recommend.
Yeah, I'd also definitely recommend it, and of course everything that's been said is I like 101% agree with and will echo, but I also want to add that when you do a placement and then you come back, I feel like in a lot of people's minds they become people who want to take advantage of opportunities more, because placement is such a great opportunity. I noticed that at least in our group, all the placement students are pretty much now going, I want to try this, I want to try and take advantage of this opportunity, maybe go for this award, try this volunteering or join these committees. We don't want to kind of just do the bare minimum. We want to really go and be like, okay, how can I make myself stand out, and how can I test myself, both improving my CV, but also personally how can I challenge myself, because as you said, placement is such a challenge, and the resilience you build applying. Also, when you first go to your placement, there will be a point, at least with me, where I was like, I am way in over my head. I am like, because for most of us it's the first time we're going into like a corporate or like a SME, like full-time job, exactly. And we're like, I'm now not just responsible for myself and me getting past, but the work I do, that has a direct impact on other people's ability to perform, which is a big responsibility to have. So there is that moment of, you know, okay, have I bitten off too much, like way more than I can chew?
Yeah.
Of course, it is a support at university, and it is really good support. They will be like, hey, it's okay, like breathe,
You got this.
you got this. Like, and companies are really good with that. So the resilience you build, yeah, it kind of, when you come back, you do realise actually you are a different person because you want to take as much opportunity and take advantage of much opportunity as possible throughout your life. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It definitely changes you.
Yeah.
For the better.
It builds that maturity because, like you're saying, you're responsible for other people.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're a kid, if you make a mistake, it's like, oh, it's okay, don't worry. If you make a mistake in your job, you're gonna get told off.
Yeah.
Like, and that's okay. And like being able to take that sometimes and holding your hands up and saying, yes, I was accountable, and this is what I'm gonna learn from it. Yeah. It's not like someone's not gonna.
Yeah, they're not going to hate you, but they are going to be like,
Yeah.
now learn from it and fix it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's huge.
That's how you.
Yeah,
how
that's
you
a
grow.
skill you don't learn at university.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like here, when you mess up, it's like,
Move on.
okay, you
That's
messed up.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
All right, that's all the questions I had. Thank you for answering them.